and welcome back to Unboxed with Joe, where we talk stories on the cuff on topics we do not run away from. The podcast where we unpack real stories from real people. Whether you're tuning in from work, at home, or abroad, I'm so glad you're here. Today, I'm so excited to introduce our guest, Mr. Luigi Morado. Luigi grew up in the beautiful city of Baguio in the Philippines, studied medical laboratory science at St. Louis University, and made the big move to the United States, where he's now working as a medical technologist based in Philadelphia. His story is one of hard work, sacrifice, and determination. Starting from scratch in a new country, pushing through challenges, and building a career in healthcare. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about his journey, his experience, and what he's unboxed about himself along the way. Welcome to the show, Luigi.
Good day, Ate or Chef Joe. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're watching from. First of all, thank you for having me and congratulations to your podcast, Ate.
Thank you, Luigi, and I'm very glad to have you here. So, can you share with us what it was like growing up in Baguio City?
Oh, definitely fun memories. So, just a fun fact of course, growing up, you were part of that childhood too. Baguio City being a nice, cool weather, our parents being in the military. Uh, we would have, as part of that growing up, I would always, for some reason, I would see your parents a lot. We would have our chili cook-offs or whenever there's like veterans meeting in Baguio City because of the very nice weather. It's like a nice spot for a retreat, especially for the Americans or the retired vets. Definitely growing up, I would say I was really blessed having my parents and it was quite a challenge growing up. Of course, if you know the story, I was adopted and I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed to have my parents raising me up, where if not for them, I wouldn't be in this position. In fact, going home next month, I can't wait. It's my hometown, and I just love everything about it. The culture, the people, nice weather, and just a lot of things. It just makes me really happy. That's where I spent most of my life growing up. Just my studies. That's where I met the wife. When I was in college too, I did my internship in there. Luckily, very blessed to have graduated in one of the best schools for medical technology. Shout out to my alumni SLU. Um, yeah, it's just every time I think about it, it's kind of mixed feelings right now too. Especially dad passed away 2 years ago, but it's just always a nice feeling. Every time you get the chance and the opportunity to go home, especially back to your hometown, Baguio City.
What is your fondest memory with your dad?
Oh goodness, mom and dad, they had three of their children. They retired in the Philippines, but the three biological children stayed here in the United States, trying to moving on with their lives, with their families. And mom and dad retired in the Philippines to actually enjoy their retirement. At the time, for their age, they would have been enjoying their retirement, especially in Baguio City. And I guess maybe it was God's will or God's calling that what, mom and dad thought about. Despite enjoying the retirement, they said, what, let's adopt me when I was a baby, and my sister Kim at the time. So my fondest memory of dad, just growing up, is he's a great dad. He just wanted the best for his kids, for me, the whole family. And it was very devastating when dad passed away. Unfortunately, he died 2 days before my birthday, Father's Day 2 years ago. It was just very sad. I felt like I lost a good part of me, like my best friend. That was always tough, being in the military. So there were like a set of rules, and I'm sure you know that too. Growing up in the military family, being tough, for dad's being strict. He's being strict and stuff taught me a lot growing up, and he molded me and shaped me to the person I am today.
Wow, that is such a very beautiful way to remember your dad, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I remember a time when my parents are actually having a conversation with your parents in one of
yeah.
the times that they would hang out. And I remember your dad uttering the words saying, Hindi man sila galing sa amin, pero galing sila sa puso namin.
Oh, that's very heartwarming. Yeah, I'm see, am I in the goosebumps because I treat my parents right now as my real parents. Like I said, I'm very thankful. Where if not for them, it would have been a different story for me and Kimberly.
I think that's one of the things that I can relate with you because my dad is actually my stepfather. It doesn't matter if you're blood related, eh. What
Yeah,
matters is who was there from the very beginning
yeah, yeah,
and who actually showed up. And I know that Sir Tom and your mom is the same way for you and Kim.
definitely.
What inspired you to pursue medical laboratory science? And was it something you always wanted, or did your path change along the way?
So you know how when you were a kid or when you were in elementary, they for your photograd picture book, they ask you what you want to be, and I probably did right. I want to be a doctor. It's still the same. My passion is still for being a doctor. I took up medical technology because I've heard. I said, you know what? I want to take the best pre med for medicine, and just in case I don't continue the path, although I still have the passion, only it's just now I'm in the United States. But the reason why I took medical technology is I want to have the best pre med. They say the best pre med for medicine is medical technology because of the subjects are closely related to what you actually take when you're in actual med school. So that's the reason why I did take medical technology. And like I said, just in case it doesn't continue to medicine, there's always that fallback that you can actually practice that profession, if not in the Philippines, but also you can practice it maybe outside of the Philippines in a foreign country.
So, how was your experience studying at St. Louis University? Is there any memories or challenges that stands out during your college years?
Definitely a lot of great memories. St. Louis University, they put you into a ringer. Again, shout out to the whole SLU family, especially the medical technology family, my instructors. I think SLU, especially, yeah, SLU in Baguio, has been consistently number one in medical technology. I think at the time too, when I took the boards, we were the first group to go over 100 to take the board exam. So the magic number was 171. There's 171 of us, and 171 100% passed the exam. But I mean, it definitely challenges you. There were nights, there was like sleepless nights for me, especially when I reached, I would say, maybe the second and third year of college, definitely, because these were all like the subjects that are the main subjects that you're actually going to practice in the field, like hematology, blood banking, microbiology, you name it. And it was a challenge because you were taking all of this nosebleed subjects, and sometimes you would have quizzes, surprise quizzes, and then you would have to study and manage your time trying to pass all of these exams, all of the quizzes, trying to absorb all these information. But I don't know how SLU does it, but the system works. Their system is very good. They train you, they put you to the ringer to actually prepare for life's work, the actual field. And that's why I'm very thankful for the training. Uh, and it's good that I experienced the hardship at the time to actually prepare me for, the work at hand now.
So, after graduation, you started working at the Notre Dame Hospital, right? What was the experience like is for you, especially being new in the field?
um, so of course, I was a younger buck at then. Brand new, finishing or passing the board exams. So I think the first thing that comes into your mind, all right, let me just enjoy a bit before actually finding work. But then it came to a point that I said, all right, we have to do something very responsible, and I said we'll apply for whatever jobs. Especially now in the Philippines, I think it's a challenge, especially for you're a fresh graduate. It's a challenge finding a good paying job, or not even just a good paying job. even if the pay isn't that well, you do it for the experience. So I actually applied not only for Notre Dame Hospital at the time. I applied at the Baguio Health Center. That's where I did my first 6 or last 6 months of my internship. But I heard that if you work in the government, the pay is higher. But of course, the challenge was I wasn't the only one. There was a lot of the same people thinking of the same thing, applying for the same position. I think you need to have like a strong, especially in the government. I think you have to know a lot of people. Unfortunately, I didn't get the job, and I think it was a blessing that I ended up with Notre Dame Hospital. Luckily, I also knew one of the current chief medical technologists in there. Because it wasn't that, I think they were hiring at the time. Shout out to Sir Charles. Thank you for having me. And I was blessed in being hired in Notre Dame, the Chartist Hospital, along with the sisters, the nuns, and just the culture in there. But working at Notre Dame, it was a great experience. You actually get to do everything, drawing from patients, the morning rounds, the late night shifts. You have to go to the floors, draw their patients. Oh my goodness, especially during the dengue season. That's Those are the times where it gets the busiest because you actually have to draw from like, I don't know, 20, 30 at least patients, inpatients, and then you have to go back to the lab, run those samples, run them yourselves. And aside from that, Notre Dame was also like a teaching hospital where you have to deal with interns who are also doing their final internship before they actually take the board exams. So it was fun. Professional wise, I met a lot of people. I met great colleagues in there. Actually, some of them met them here too, and are actually now here in the United States too.
Oh, so speaking of the United States, what made you decide to move to the US and was it always part of your plan?
So I think the original plan was after passing the medical technology, I did try the NMAT actually for medicine. I said, let me try the first time. And I think at the time I was also meeting and dating Kat at the time. So um, I was busy at the time. But I think I didn't really 100% commit to my review during the NMAT. So I think I didn't really do well my first try for the exam. I said, you know what, let me try the second time. But then I said, I think the parents had plans of visiting my brother here. And I said, you know what? Let me try, just come over here and let me try to apply. I was here with my parents at the time. I stayed with my brother and I said, let's go for it. After my a year and a half or almost 2 year stint with Notre Dame Hospital, I said, I think I have the experience enough. Let's try here in the United States. And how I got here in the United States is, first of all, I'm blessed because of my parents' service, especially my dad's service in the military. Was conferred U.S. citizenship along with my sister. So me and Kim are both actually dual citizens. So that is why it was a little easier for me to find work here in the United States. But what led me to work here, I think, is just I wanted to support my parents. I think that was the main reason. I wanted to support my parents, especially for the future, having a future family. So I said, let me apply. Let me apply here in the United States. And I applied at all medical technology jobs. And I said, whatever I get, whoever first answers in the call, regardless of the salary, I said it will be a good starting point. Let me get experience again. And lo and behold, there was one hospital that actually accepted me, which was the Hahnemann University Hospital in Philadelphia. And it was for a night shift. And I said, okay, let me do that. But coming here, there were challenges too. Of course, I was dependent on my parents and had no car, um, had really no money to begin with. Again, I was dependent on my parents. So to deal with that in night shift, I had to be commuting. Okay, I had to be commuting to work. And by commuting, I would actually take the bus, especially late at night. And the public transportation is usually not the best at night because it's a different environment, it's a different culture at night. You're mixing yourself with sometimes a little drunk people, and people who are could be homeless, or it's just a different culture. So safety was one thing, trying to get to work. But I said eventually, once I start working, once I start saving money, I said we'll get a car and everything should follow, and everything else is history.
So, what made your adjustment a little smoother along the way?
Oh goodness, I would definitely say having a great support system. Of course, it's not always the case, especially I know some other people or colleagues of mine who actually came here through the work visa. Not having someone to know here in the United States, I know it could be a challenge. So it's not the same for everyone. But for me, I think would say is having the best support system. At the time, again, I'm very thankful for my brother because I did stay with him for I think just over 2 years, having me at his place. So basically, all I did for the 2 years I was with him was working like really hard. I was picking up overtime. I think within the first 3 or 4 months, I said, you know what, let me just work, work, work. And I think that was the culture here in the United States. If you're coming here in the United States, goodness, it's just a very working culture in here, and you get used to it. You learn that you see a lot of overtime, you pick it up. Having a great support system, having the time management, again, which I learned in school too, prep me now. And and within 3 to 4 months, I was able to purchase the at least a secondhand car. Up until now, I still have it. It's a very nice Toyota Corolla. I love Japanese made cars, they're very reliable. And I said after that 4 months of commuting with the bus and all, I said, thank God. Life would be a little easier now. I don't have to be waiting at the bus stop, connecting to two, three different buses. So within 4 months, I was able to get my first secondhand car. And, I was the happiest boy on earth to make life easier.
Yeah, because I think not a lot of people know transportation in the US is not like in the
No, it's not.
Philippines, diba?
Yeah.
Like you have jeepney, you have taxis over in the US. Taxi is very expensive. There's no such thing as jeepney. You have a bus, and the bus has a schedule, and then don't operate like what you mentioned. They don't
Yes.
operate good at nighttime, and you cannot really rely on it 100% of the time. So it's really a struggle to commute from one place or another. And that's why it's really mandatory for you to have a car once you move to the US so you can get around and find better jobs for yourself too, as well, right?
That is exactly true. Yes. The transportation system is definitely different here. Definitely no Jeep. The bus has a schedule, and sometimes they're not always on time. And sometimes if I miss the bus, or if my friends are actually on the way to work, luckily there was one of my colleague, one of my best buddies. I said, hey, can you actually pick me up? Or they actually offered to pick me up. So sometimes that actually helps me a lot in terms of going to work, especially when I was training. So here, usually when you first get a job, they train you first. They train you during the day shift, and during most of the daytimes, the day shift when I was training, they would pick me up, or if not, if you can't pick me up, then I would take the bus. And then once you were fully trained, then they send you to your specific shift, which was for me at the time was already night shift. And like I said, I will take whatever shift I can. First job, I said I'm just super blessed, super happy to have a job.
Yes. And one more bit of information for our
Yeah.
fellow kababayan. When you're starting in a new job, you don't get the prime schedule. They will throw you into the night shift or graveyard shift. And it's the worst, sometimes the worst shift that you can actually have, right?
That's definitely true. Um, Again, it's a big difference moving from. Of course, I don't think you really can compare it with the Philippines. The My salary when I was in Notre Dame Hospital, I think, to say for general, it wasn't really enough for me to date anyone or to date my wife at the time. I think it wasn't enough, or it was just barely enough to cover a full tank of gas in a
Mhm.
month. And it's definitely shocking when you come here in the United States. But of course, you have to take in the cost of living. I think a lot of people think that if you're in a foreign country, they think that you have all the money, all the resources. But you have to think now that you're in a different country, the cost of living definitely affects you. And whatever how big you think your salary is here, think again, because you have all those expenses to factor in now that you're in a more developed country. I mean, coming here in the United States, whatever shift you can get, it will not always be the best to your first liking. And again, they'd start you with a lower pay, but it definitely could be higher than the minimum wage. I mean, if it's just minimum wage, why not do it for the experience? And then another difference is, when I was in the Philippines, I had a contract to work in the hospital. They do contractual work. Whereas here in the United States, as far as I'm concerned, is you could work as long as you like, as short as you like, without, being tied to a contract and without breaching a contract. So you can actually work a couple months or gain your experience. And once you gain that experience, you can actually move to a different job with, commanding a higher pay. Definitely, when you move to another job, you can negotiate your salary. That's one thing here too. That's a difference here, because you can actually sell yourself in terms of negotiating for a better pay for you when you transfer to a different job.
You have the freedom to choose what's right and good for you.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Although, while some people, when they come here, like some of my colleagues, I learned, they join an agency, especially for the medical work, medical field work. Probably the same thing with nurses, medical technologists. So for them coming here on a working visa, sometimes they would come here. I think from what I heard from my colleague is they actually do have a contract here
Mm.
because they are fulfilling a contract, with the hospital, because again, there is a shortage. There's a shortage here actually. So we're still very short. So there's not enough of schools here in the United States to actually produce enough medical technologists or nurses to supply the demand. But I have colleagues here who actually are under contracts through an agency from the Philippines, but they have to work like 18 months or 2 years contracts here because they're actually fulfilling the work contract. And aside from that, they are also getting the benefit of
Mm.
the green card benefit. That's the reason why they have to stay with their work with a contract. But once they fulfill that, I've heard that they're actually, once they get their green card, then you're not bound to any contract anymore. Technically, you can jump from one ship to another, and that's where you can actually find work and negotiate a better salary. But if you're coming here as a U.S. citizen, or if you're a U.S. citizen, of course, first job you're not really bounded to a contract, unless depending on the job, if they're really short, sometimes they can put you to a contract. But they also offer you like a bonus pay or a bonus for just applying with the job because they're so short and they need people.
Luigi, can you walk us through how you transitioned your career here from converting your degree, taking the ASCP certification, and landing your first job at the Hahnemann? Is that Hahnemann University Hospital?
Sure. Upon graduation in the Philippines, SLU, I got my diploma. And I think one of the main reason was, if you were to work in a foreign country, or example in the United States, is uh, for you to be considered like a bachelor's degree holder here in the United States, is you would have to have your foreign degree, which was my Philippine degree, converted to a US degree. So there are platforms to do that. What I used was WES, or World Education Services. Now, it's not the only one. There are others similar to it, but it's a fairly easy process. So I had if you go onto the website, there are definitely instructions in there of how to, basically submit your transcript of records. But I think you would have to do it not through you, but you would have to do it through your school registrar's office. Now, it could be different from different schools. I think being SLU a bigger institution, it was a little easier because I think they could just send right now, I think they could send your transcript of records digitally to West, which is, I don't know right now if they're in Canada or in the US, but you do it through your school registrar. They send Wes your transcript of records. That way, there's that authenticity, originality, and without being that you could actually forge or anything like that. So they send it to Wes. You pay, of course, you pay whatever conversion amount that you want to have paid. Let's say if you just want a degree, or you want to have all your diploma or transcript of records converted to a U.S. equivalency, whereas you can actually continue to go schooling here. you can have that too. You can have that complete evaluation if you want to go back to schooling here in the US, which I did that, just in case if I said if I want to go back to schooling, I could do that. And it's still recognized here. So, yeah, school registrar sends it to Wes, and then Wes receives it. Once they double check, review the authenticity, and check all the courses that you took, and then they give you the final verdict saying that okay, that your degree is regionally recognized or regionally accredited as a bachelor's degree. Now, once you have that, they send West sends it to you back in the Philippines. You can have it to FedEx, UPS. And once you get that, that actually is your golden ticket actually to work here in the United States. Now, again, while I say that, there's also another thing. It was a little easier for me because I was a U.S. citizen at the time, even until now. But for my other fellow kababayans or other people who are trying to get here in the United States who are not U.S. citizens, they would have to take the IELTS. IELTS. Now, I did not take that again because I don't need to because I am already a U.S. citizen. But for those who are non-U.S. citizens, they would have to take the IELTS aside from having your degree converted before you can actually work here in the United States. And having that definitely boosts your pay a lot, whereas compared to having a non-bachelor's degree.
How was your first job in Hahnemann University Hospital?
Having my first job, of course, uh, having my first job or any job at the time, in fact, I said, you know what? If I don't get the medical technology job, I said, let me work at a bar, let me work at a restaurant, or anywhere that actually starts to pay. I said because sometimes it's not always roses, butterflies wherever you go. When you set foot in a different country, sometimes you have to take those jobs that are not the highest paying. And I had that in my mind. I said if I don't get any medtech jobs here, I said I could do whatever work as long as it's honest pay. But like I was blessed to get the first job. I was very happy, very excited coming in my first job. I started day shift to train first. Some of my best friends now, actually, my best friend buddies here in the United States, I actually met them to work my first job. And working in the field, medical technology field, compared to the Philippines, having the experience, having the right tools, especially being put to the challenges while in school, like necessarily, hone my skills, really prepared me for the work here. Not only to prepare you for the local workforce in the Philippines, they actually prepare you for the foreign workforce too. So when I first started there, it wasn't basically new to me. I saw the analyzers, the workflow, the process, and I think it was actually kind of easier because where in the Philippines, you do everything mano mano. You do manual things. When you come here to the United States, now depending if you go to a big hospital or a smaller hospital, they like automation. And one thing I really did enjoy when I was in the Philippines was phlebotomy. Phlebotomy is the process of drawing blood, venipuncture from a patient, and I hated that because sometimes if you're not a sharpshooter, sometimes you have to retry twice, thrice, and sometimes you'd have to give it to your other colleague. And sometimes the first time you don't get it, it affects your next patients. So luckily here in the United States and in the hospital I used to work in, luckily they have a separate team for phlebotomy. So I don't have to do that. It's a separate position, it's a separate role, and it's a relief for me. That's one less thing that I can actually focus on lab science or medical technology work. So working in the lab wasn't so much of a difference from the Philippines. Actually, they actually work you a lot more in the Philippines compared to here. But it was good because you get that experience. You're definitely prepared. When your other colleagues see you and it's your first time and they say, "Oh wow, this guy's good," or "This person's really good." I don't know. It could be something because we're Filipinos too. We're very hard at work. They're very good at working. But when you give them a task, they do it, and it's a nice feeling too. That you're able to contribute to society, helping improve lives, and uh, that you're also enjoying what you love to do. It's definitely. It's very humbling too, and at the same time, a very beautiful experience.
You've also worked at the Penn Medicine and Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. How was the experience and how did it shape you professionally?
So when I first started my job, I said, so I've heard from my colleagues were working two jobs at the time. Of course, I was younger. I said, you know what, let me do that. As long as it doesn't, the conflict of interest, you can actually work another job. You can find another job, be it in the same field, be it in a different position. You definitely can do that if you want to make extra money. Again, the culture here in America is just a work culture. People just working, working, working. So I said, let me try to find another job. And I got, well, unfortunately, I think the reason why I got the next moved to Penn Medicine was Hanuman University Hospital closed, unfortunately. So when they were closing, I had to find another full time job. So I moved to Penn Medicine. But I think the last few months they were closing, that's where I transferred out. They kept me because maybe they like work, my work ethic. So they still kept me on a per diem role. So I said, okay, I was working full time at Penn Medicine now, and I was doing part time or per day or as needed at Hanuman University Hospital. So I was working second shift now. So from third shift, night shift, I upgraded now to second shift, which was I think at the time was 3 to 3:30 to midnight. Working two jobs at the time, so I would finish my full time job at Penn Medicine. Fun fact: I think Doc Costales Kuya is working at Penn Medicine too. I think it's one of the top hospitals in Philadelphia and top 10, top 15 in the United States. But anyway, so I would finish my evening full time shift, and then I would do night shift. I would continue my night shift at the Hanuman University Hospital. So I would drive from a farther part of Philadelphia, Penn Medicine, and then along the way home, I would stop by Hanuman University Hospital to do my midnight shift to like 8 in the morning with Hanuman Hospital. So that's like 16 hours and at the time. So I said it was convenient enough. I said I finished my first job. Well, I was already tired, but I was younger, had more energy, and I said, okay, I got more in the tank. Let me do another 8 hour shifts at Hanuman Hospital. Anyway, I said it was closing down, and I said, why not? I wanted to save a bit more. I wanted to have the savings to move out from my brothers. That way, I don't really pressure him so much, and with his resources, again, I'm very thankful for him, and that way I could put money away for my own place. So yes, you can work two jobs here in the United States, just as long as it doesn't conflict with your main full time job. It's fun.
You can you can actually work three or four, five,
You can
six,
actually,
seven.
yes, you can actually, just as long as it doesn't conflict with anything. I've seen people work three, four jobs. Oh my goodness, that I don't know how they do that.
I'm actually one of those people, Luigi, back then.
Oh my goodness. See, there you go. Kudos to you out there. God bless. Because just doing two jobs at a time, it was just very hard to keep track of. Now having three or four, oh my goodness. And oh, kudos to you out there. I don't know how you do
and,
it.
and going to school full time. The
Yeah.
thing during that time, I was just handed a challenge that I just have to make sure that my daughter and I survived during that
Yeah.
time. So, if you have that driving force
Yep.
of inspiration, anything is actually possible. So, being a single mom myself during that time, I really just had to do what I had to do.
Oh man, I think kudos to you. That was a tough feat. That's definitely a challenge right there. I probably can imagine myself doing that. Being a single mom, you're trying to make ends meet, two, three, four jobs, and again, sometimes that's also the same scenarios for other people in here too. People trying to make ends meet. I think the same thing with my sister in the Philippines too. But that's going to be another story. But you definitely see those challenges, and some people or most don't see that the struggles that you go to, the struggles that you're silent in. And sometimes they say that you make a lot of money and this and that. They say a lot of things about you, but they actually don't know the struggles behind it, just like your struggles behind it. And I'm actually learning now too. So kudos to you.
And also the same thing as your struggle as well, like a lot of people doesn't really understand and realize that when you start in a new place, you're a nobody,
Yeah.
For example, in the Philippines, you have all this experience, but once you get to another country, you're starting from scratch. And
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I can highly relate with you. Not having a form of transportation or like a car when you start, you just have to makes end meet and just get whatever job is possible that actually pays, just like what you said. So kudos to you
Thank
as
you. Yeah,
well,
thank you. Yeah, we made it.
because there's a lot of people that can't handle the way that you've handling things since you got to the US. So saludo ako sa'yo kasi hindi ka nag-give
Thank
up.
you, ate. Saludo din sa'yo, ate. It's like I said, it's uh, first time here. Definitely in a foreign country, you start from scratch. It's not always as what you think or what you see in the movies. Sometimes you really have to struggle if you really want the best in life.
Yeah, not all you see in social media is just all glitz and glamour. There's actually struggle and hardship behind those vacation, those rewards, and the life that you currently have right now because of the struggles and challenges that you actually went through.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, with those struggles at the time, I try to make it as light as possible. I try to keep a positive mind. I try to make those into really good memories. So, like right now, they're good memories. Just thinking back, looking back at those. Oh, I did that. I did those, and I said, wow. And it's also sometimes a nice feeling too. So those struggles, it's a journey. It's basically a journey that when you look back at it, you just gives you a nice smile. And you said, oh, I went through that, and I think I would do it all over again.
What is it like now working at Jefferson Health Cherry Hill Hospital?
So yes, Jefferson Cherry Hill Hospital. So I'm actually now based here in New Jersey. So I think this is where I settled roots now, having our place here in New Jersey. The reason why I transferred from Philadelphia is mainly is because it's the traffic. I could not stand the traffic. I could not stand the commute, the long drives, the toll fee, and now it's all the more expensive. Now, yes, working in the city. Now, if you're here in the US, you're near a bigger city, they usually pay you a lot higher because, again, the reason why is cost of living adjustment. But I said, if it saves me my mental sanity, my quality of life, I said, let me try here in New Jersey. The reason why I didn't apply here in New Jersey first was because they had blood banking as a so I'm a generalist as a medical technologist, so you do everything, whatever you learn from school, you do everything. Luckily is here sometimes all those that everything are actually separated into their own individual departments, so you can actually choose to just be in blood bank or microbiology, or being a generalist where you do chemistry, hematology, urinalysis, coagulation, which I did in Philadelphia. I did those generalist part with no microbiology, no blood banking. But then I learned here in New Jersey is that aside from the generalist, there's an additional thing that you have to do, which was blood banking. And blood banking is you would really have to love blood banking because it's one of the most. I think for me, it was the most challenging subject, especially when I was in school too. There's a lot to it than just giving blood. Of course, blood banking is it's transfusion medicine, transfusion of blood products to make sure that it's safe to being transfused, to make sure it's compatible for the patient. These are in cases of people who are anemic or blood loss, trauma patients. So this is where a part that you can actually kill a patient if you give a wrong blood type, or if the blood has an antibody that you were not able to screen for, and the patient has, or the unit has an antigen and the patient has an antibody, which could cause a transfusion reaction, which can also kill a patient. So this is a place where you can actually kill a patient and you can be very liable. And that was a challenge here in New Jersey because I said, oh, although I went to school for this, it was one of my challenging subjects or topics when I was in college. But then I said, you know what? It's either you take that challenge, sometimes your own obstacle, sometimes it's yourself. So I said, you know what? Let me take that leap. I said, all right, let me take the job here in New Jersey. It may not be as high paying as Philadelphia, but again, for the adjustment, you're not paying longer commute, the maintenance, and the toll fee. But it's just as similar as you were working in Philadelphia. Then over time, you get your raise here. So I took the job here in Jefferson at the time. I think I already finished my stint in Philadelphia. I said, you know what? That's it. I got the job here in Jefferson Cherry Hill. So far, I'm enjoying it. I like it. So I'm one of the senior medical technologists here now, and again, work wise, it's not as different. Sometimes the hospitals here use the same system, so or if it's different, it's not overly overwhelming in terms of learning the thing. So it's an easy transition. So it definitely changes the quality of life. It's a lot closer to home. It's 20 minutes for me. And one thing nice with Jefferson Health is within the system, there are other hospitals located here. And actually, there's one that's just 5 minutes down the road. I also was looking into that, applying full time. And they were actually getting me there full time, the one 5 minutes from the house. But I said, let me keep the Cherry Hill Hospital. And if they're short here, which is good because if they're short here, I already finished my 40 hours at my main job, which is in Cherry Hill, and I could pick up the one here nearest me, which is 5 minutes, and it's already overtime for me. So instead of working two jobs, I'm actually just working one job with just more overtime right now. So it definitely, although I miss seeing my paycheck where I get paid almost every week, but it's all good. Sometimes you have to outweigh the pros and cons. So I pick up whatever they have opening in here. I pick up overtime. Even actually, my place is just always overtime. So that's what I do. I just pick up the days as if where I had still two jobs, but now I get paid overtime. Whereas if you're having two jobs in your second job per diem, it's just your regular normal hourly pay and not overtime. So I think it's a lot better for me just doing one job, just pick up overtime for as long as it's in there, and it improves your quality of life. I get more time to be with family and friends. And that way, hopefully, I don't age too fast too. you know.
Yeah, definitely. You also got married in 2020 during the height of COVID. How was the season of your life balancing marriage and career challenges during that time?
So the wife actually at the time when I was dating her, we were college sweethearts. I met her at the last days of my internship. So just to make it things short, of course I had to leave her in the Philippines. So while she was in the Philippines, I was here for a better future, for our future, and I had to petition her under a K1 fiance visa. And that's another challenge too with all the bureaucracy, red tape, and depending on whoever was the administration at the time. So she was left in the Philippines while what she was working with, and then she moved to Qatar Airways. So for me to get her here, she had to go through that visa process. And then when she was here, I don't know if you know the show 90 Day Fiance.
Fiance, yeah.
So there is actually truth to that because uh, when you actually bring your foreign spouse or your fiance here in the United States, you have to get married within 90 days. And within that 90 days, luckily it was the height, or I think it start or height the peaking of the pandemic because we didn't know what was going on. They were closing things down, and the challenge was for us to get married within 90 days. So you could just imagine that all public, all government buildings were closed, so there was no one who could actually do the wedding, to preside over our wedding. And it was stressing us out, it was stressing me out because if you exceed that 90 days, then she can be deported, she can be
Mm-hmm.
brought back to the Philippines because we did not get married within the time frame. But luckily and very blessed that we were able to find, in fact, nearby, one near of our townships, Magnolia, actually met the mayor of that township. If you think if it like the mayor in the Philippines, it's something different. It's very nice that you can actually meet the mayor here up front, up close, with no politics or bureaucracy. But anyway, she was the one who accommodated us. Actually, in fact, she said we could have it outside of the township building. At first, I said, okay, great. We were able to find a location, but she was really nice. She was so nice. I think it was about to rain at the time, but she really accommodated us. I said, you know what? Let's just go inside the township building, municipal building, and let's have a nice ceremony or your civil wedding. So she presided over us. And everyone was wearing a mask. I also remember my brother wasn't being there to the fact because I think at the time, I think he had COVID or he was showing the signs and symptoms of COVID at the time. So we wanted to be safe. So he was watching through video call. From there, we definitely got married. Luckily, again, from there was history. But it was definitely a challenge during COVID because everything was closed, just trying to find someone and working. working all those paperworks while everything was closed was another challenge too. So, but just looking back at it again, it was definitely fun. Of course, my marriage to my wife, happiest day of my life, of our lives.
How's married life right now? Being married for almost like 5 years now or 6 years now
Yeah,
ba?
5 6 years.
Mm.
We just had our anniversary, our 5 5 years this month actually, April
Mm-hmm.
4. Marriage life, we've known each other since 2014. Again, from my internship days, 11 years together. I'm very thankful for that. Definitely, there has been challenges. There has been ups and downs. Um, but I'm very thankful for my wife. She has been with me to the ups and downs, to the challenges and tests of life. And despite my shortcomings, she has stood with me and stood by me, even at the hardest times, or even the times that I'm at my lowest. And I'm sure you know this, but not going to the details. But of course, she really stood by me, and I'm just very blessed. I'm a lucky guy. I'm a very very lucky guy to have someone like her, to still be with me despite those challenges, to put up to my yeah, to put all to my shit. All right, like I said, it's I'm just ever so grateful. I probably just take it for granted, but she's a great wife. She aside from her working, the upkeep of the house, she takes care of me. I take care of her, but she really takes good care of me. Even when we were dating, we try as much as not to lose that spark from when we first met. Um, and she has her challenges too, and I want to uplift her just how she uplifted me too, even in the toughest times.
And you guys are gonna renew your vows this coming September in Baguio, right?
Yes, that's true. We are renewing our vows. In fact, we did not have a formal wedding with our family again because due to COVID, it was just a small, very, very small. I think it was just like 3 or 4 people at the time, or five. We actually didn't get to have our reception. We just had a reception here at the house, pizza with the guys. That's it. Something simple. Now that a few years after, we're having a renewal of vows, my renewal of my commitment to my wife. So we're having it in Baguio. No place else. No better than where we first met, when I was born, Baguio City. And I'm very excited for that. I wish, and I'm hoping that you could be there too. You're definitely invited. I would tell soon when I see your parents here. I would definitely send them the invitation too, as well as Ate Ella, Kuya, the whole family. So if you guys are free, please do join us. Yeah, we're prepping for that. It's a little challenge right now. I mean, of course, we're with our wedding coordinator now that it's coming close. I just can't believe it's just a few months from now. So we're cutting it close. But, I'm excited to see everyone, to have the family there. Again, I really wish my dad was there to witness that, for sure. And also my best friend AJ, who also passed away too. So, AJ, what's up, bro? And yeah, definitely excited and hope to see you guys there.
God's willing, Luigi, I'm really hoping that we'll be able to witness your guys' renewal of vow. And I'm pretty sure your best friend AJ and your dad's gonna be there in spirit.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So looking back, what do you feel has been your biggest growth moment since you left the Philippines?
The biggest growth moments, first of all, was actually leaving my parents' house, putting the big boy pants on, because you are entering a new territory, a thing of the unknown. Okay, you don't know what you're expecting. Fresh grad, you have no money, nothing to show for, and you're leaving your parents' house, but you have big dreams. You want to prove to yourself that you could do it. So I think, that was the biggest, event that really happened, was moving out from my parents, from my comfort zone. I was so used to living with them, having them as my support. But now that you're working, you're a professional, you're an adult now. I said, nope, you gotta work for your own now. You gotta survive for your own, because it's not always every day. It's not always forever that your mom and dad's gonna be there to be with you or to support you. So that was a big event for my life, and the fear of unknown. Uh, coming here to the United States, and I'm not sure exactly what I was expecting, and I wasn't expecting actually these or this to begin with, and things just came through, and it was just a blessing, God's blessing, and I'm forever grateful, and I'm forever grateful to my parents.
So, if you could speak to your 5-year-old self right now, Luigi, what would you tell them?
Oh man, 5-year-old at the time, it was I think it was a lot peaceful at the time. There was no digital phones. It wasn't the digital age. I'm a millennial, but if I were at my 5 years old, I'd be just looking back. I said, "Wow, things have definitely changed. Definitely really proud of what we have achieved." Through my parents, through my support system, through you guys, through God. I just sometimes I would actually like to go back to being 5 years old or from when I was a kid because you were just so carefree. You had nothing to think about. You had nothing to care for. It was just play outside with your friends. You get the spanking at the time, but then that's where you learn. Okay, of course now day and age you can't do that, especially here in the United States. But it was just so peaceful, so nice at the time. Can't be bothered. But like I said, just if I were my 5 years old self, I would just imagine, wow, did all of that. You should give yourself a pat on the back. Times have changed. It's really amazing how time went by and we went through all that, and I just don't know where all this time went. Goodness. But sometimes I would like to be that 5-year-old self again too, with just no cares for the world, just carefree. When I was still with my parents, and just whatever you had, whatever you like, you'd have it. Fortunately, I don't get that now.
So, if your dad is in front of you right now, what message would you give him?
Oh man, you're trying to make me cry. My message for that is, see, I'm getting those goosebumps again. I you know I really wish I had more time with that. He was really my rock. He really taught me a lot. He showed me, being in the military. He really showed me to be prepared for the world. That when he's gone, that when my parents are gone, that even we're not there, we're always with you in spirit. But at least we done our part here on earth, that you can actually carry yourself through whatever challenges of the world brings you, or the earth brings you. And I'm just really thankful that mom and dad, just you could have been just enjoyed your retirement, but no, you took the time, you went through all that legality stuff to take me in, as well as my sister, for us to have a better life. And to that, that's just one of it. But to that, I'm forever grateful. It's a mixed reaction too, because I can't wait to see him next month. I make it a point to visit him in the Philippines, to visit his grave, because he died 2 days before my birthday, and I would like to spend every year my birthday, Father's Day, visiting him, paying my respects to him. So that, up in there, I love you. And I really wish I could, I wish I could be with you, and I wish you could be with us in the wedding. But I know you're always watching over us, and you're always with us in spirit. So I'm forever grateful to you, Dad. Love you.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Luigi. How about a message to your best friend, AJ?
Oh, AJ is just another carefree guy. If you'd actually seen him, my friends, if people are watching this, they know him. I can actually still hear his laughing voice right now. Goodness, we went through high school together. Not only high school, elementary actually. We basically grew up together. We got saved together too at the Key West residence. Um, every time I'd come home, or even when before I came here to the United States, we were always hanging out. He was always my best buddy. He would always look out for you. We would always look out for each other. And oh God, Jay, I miss you a lot, brother. And he just enjoys life despite the ups and downs. He takes things with a big smile, and he just stays head on positive. And that's what I'm gonna miss. That's what his friends are gonna miss. Every time I come home, there's just that hole, missing that one piece, and of course, Dad not being there. And Jay, my message for you: I'll miss you a lot, brother, and I hope you're enjoying. And I'm also set to see you soon, as well as my dad, when I visit the Philippines, when I visit your parents. And we'll definitely have both of them at the wedding. I would definitely bring your pictures of the wedding too. So, Jay, take a shot for me.
That's very, very heartwarming message, Luigi. That let's not forget your message to yourself right now.
For myself, I said, you just work in your silence. You don't actually have to let people know what you're going through. But of course, it would be nice to have a nice support system. I mean, you could tell your struggles to your closest stuff, because sometimes even Spider-Man needs like a backup or a partner, or always needs help. And same thing for me. If you definitely have problems, always grab another, stay connected with another person. Just sometimes it's best sometimes to work in your own pace, work in your own silence. You don't have to let everyone know what's going on in your life. Social media right now is it's very toxic. Of course, it's also a message for others that you don't have to compare yourselves to others too. You work at your own pace. It's definitely not a race. Some people start probably later than me. Some people have started probably even earlier than me, through different walks of life. But my message for myself is definitely love yourself. Go easy on yourself. Self love. Take care of that mental health, because mental health is definitely important. It's not only my message for myself, but it's for everyone too. And whenever you can get a break, take those breaks, especially if you're working too. Sometimes you work too much, you start to lose focus. And sometimes it's good to take a break. And sometimes it's not about the money. Money can always be made, but sometimes those memories, or your health, or just the memories, or just being at the moment matters the most too, because you can't always make that. Money can always be made, but those you cannot. And I would definitely say, just be kind to yourself. And that would be my message to myself.
I just want to let you know that napaka-proud ko sa'yo at saka I'm always gonna be here for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you looking after me too, and I look up to you too. Going back, especially when we were younger, our chili cook off, or just when we get together with Sir Larry. Especially when we were younger back then, or the Cabana, La Union,
Yeah.
outing and all that stuff. I definitely miss those. When we were a little carefree too at the time. And
Yes.
it's just amazing growing up to see you guys. Now you, world-renowned chef too, and I just thank you, Ate, and I can't wait to see you. Especially, hopefully, we can get to visit Stuttgart. Is that right? Stuttgart in
Yeah,
Germany.
Stuttgart. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to having you guys here. And sa mga hindi nakakaalam, me and Luigi were our parents are in the same circle because they're both veterans, my dad and his dad. They're member of the VFW Post 124 and
Yeah. Shout out.
every shout out.
Shout out to VFW Post 124, veteran of
Yeah.
foreign wars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I think every summertime, right? They have this chili cook off
Yes.
where all the VFW around the Philippines competes who cooks the best chili. And they
Yeah.
also have Miss Chili Cook Off where
Exactly. That's the most fun memory every single time I'm in there, and usually I'm in
okay,
the pool.
can you explain what Miss Chili Cook Off then,
So
Luigi?
well, so okay, so this is like a yearly annual cook-off. You have all these American vets, U.S. vets, Filipinos alike, American vets are in there with their, mostly Filipina spouses, Filipino wives. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. That's a lot of love right there. So just my fun memories every time they have this Milit's chili cook-off. I was in the pool in Bali High. I remember a couple of
Mm-hmm.
times, and they would always go around that pool. They would model around that pool, and I said I was so young at the time, but what they were wearing was just all these bare bikinis,
Red
bare
bikinis.
red bikinis, and
Yep.
it's just very showy. And the kids are just in the pool. I was like, wait, what's going on? But of course, I was young to really understand. I was like, what's that? What are they wearing? What's that thing bouncing off of them? And of course, I didn't really understand my age at the time, but it looks like everyone was enjoying the view,
Oh yeah,
especially the vets.
definitely.
So I think that was one way to cook off or to start off the chili cook off, is because that was that was like
But
the very nice extracurricular activity that they had in there.
I, I think that's more of the main attraction more than
I think you're right. I think the chili was the extracurricular. That was more of the main extra attraction. Excuse me. And my goodness, everybody
yeah,
was just happy.
yeah, everybody was happy, and I actually will see Luigi just like stare at this ladies just ramping around and modeling around like what the hell is going on? But
Yeah,
I
you could see Hansel and Gretel. You could see their behind, their booty,
yep,
everything. My goodness.
I as a young girl during that time is so confused of what was going on, but hey, they gotta do what they gotta do, right?
Exactly. You know what? And if I were looking, I was looking around too at the vets. They looked like they were 10 years younger when they saw all
Mhm.
those models. Plus, all their
Yep.
eyes were like so big.
Yep. That's what retirement is in
Yeah,
store for you.
exactly. So yeah. So those who are planning to retire, I think they're still doing that. Please drop by the chili cook-off. I think it's still there yearly, or
Become a
contact Sir Larry.
or become a VFW lifetime
There
member.
you go, VFW lifetime member, baby.
So Luigi, I have this question that I always ask my guests. This is my final question
No
for
problem.
them. If there's one thing in your life that you've unboxed, whether it's a realization, a lesson, or truth about yourself, what would it be and why?
That's a very good question. I think just like my message to myself, I would like to impart to others is just be kind to yourself. I think that is the main thing. All we need right now is with what's going on right now. I think sometimes all we need is just being a little love, a little kindness, a little compassion, and that's all we need. My parents did it, my mom and dad did it, and I'm forever grateful for them. It's just being kind to others. Sometimes you don't see the struggles of others too. So sometimes being kind to yourself and being kind to others actually helps a lot. And sometimes they don't need it, but sometimes it's always nice to reach out too. It's very nice to reach out. Sometimes for those maybe friends you haven't heard from in a while, or just anyone, especially now that mental issues are rampant. Sometimes it's nice to connect. Maybe our old friend from back then. It'd be very nice to hear from them because you never know. Sometimes the Lord can just take you away, and it would be great to connect and just reach out to whoever who's needing it. Love on each other, and always be thankful and always be grateful. And I think that's one thing I unboxed. And sometimes working on your own self without the validation of others sometimes is the way to go too. Work at your own pace.
That is very beautiful. Luigi, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Your journey from Baguio to building a new life and career in the US is so inspiring, and it's a reminder that no matter how hard the beginning might be, with perseverance and heart, we can build something meaningful. And I'm so proud to have you here on Unbox with Joe. And I know that everyone listening will be encouraged by your story too. To our listeners, thank you again for tuning in. And remember, every journey has something to unbox.
Thank you very much, Chef Joe. And to all who are watching, thank you very much. Hopefully, this could be as an encouragement. And Ate Jo, hopefully I see you soon. If not at the wedding, hopefully in there in Germany. And I would definitely send my regards to your parents here, your family here. So thank you. I will
Thank you,
see you soon.
Luigi.
Bye.